is going through Title I, through IDEA programs.
What's that stand for?
Do you know what? I'm not sure I can tell you exactly what it stands for, except that it's the programs for disabled and needs.
Individuals with Disabilities Act, I think. Yeah.
That is,
I'm guessing. I don't know. I don't know all my acronyms. I've been here for 30 years. You should.
This is my fifth day on the job. And
I just thought I would remind the people.
You are so petty. You are so petty.
I just thought I would remind the people of what we're dealing with right now. I just thought.
Oh, you are so petty.
Hey, it's Teacher Appreciation Week. Hey.
Happy Teacher Appreciation, beautiful.
Well, thank you, my love. Thank you. Look, child, we had breakfast yesterday and we had pizza today. I think the PTA is gonna bring us a snack bag one day this week. I'm not sure what all we, you know, I'm sure there'll be some sort of gift that they've ordered for us, you know. But yeah, that's what we got going on this week. How are you this week, sir?
So busy. This is the first of 3 shows today, so pray my strength in the Lord.
Yeah, we I want to jump on that Met Gala because I was loving the looks. Somebody.
Did that mean 4? Oh, I forgot.
Oh, what's the third one?
I got red, black.
Oh, okay.
And then red, blue, and black.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna try and jump on that Met Gala a little bit.
Yeah, I would love to. I don't know if I'm gonna have time because I'm doing the legal roundup with Simone later on this evening, but I would love to because I was here for the Met Gala yesterday. I'm sorry, it was melanated up for me. And then they said that they raised the most money that the Met Gala has raised in like something like forever. I don't want to make up a year, but a really, 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 really long time. I think they raised like $31 million. I'm gonna be honest with you. I always forget that the Met Gala is actually a fundraiser, you know. I mean, I do. But I was here for it yesterday. I think most of the people, I'm gonna say 98 to 99% of the looks I did like. I did enjoy. Other ones that I saw, I did enjoy. There are a few people that I got a side eye for, but for the most part, I think we did good. Well,
I'll save my thoughts for later.
He disagrees, people. You heard that? Surprise, surprise. Me and El Teddy aren't agreeing. Surprise, surprise. Anyway, well, we have a few things to talk about today.
Happy Teacher Appreciation. That's about all I got for you.
I cannot. Yeah. I don't even know where to start with this situation. So, what do you want to talk about? Oklahoma, Texas, Howard.
There's no good place to start. I'll let you decide. There's no good place to start. There's no good place to start.
Oh, I just got an article from the New York Daily News. Columbia University laying off 180 researchers in wake of Trump's $400 million funding cut. But never mind. There's that. Okay, well, I mean, I guess we can start in the "we told you so" category, I guess, of it all. You want to start with your favorite governor, Hot Wheels, Texas Governor Abbott?
Yeah, let's just get that out of the way, because when you're right as much as we are, you don't have to brag about it.
Yeah, because we told you guys that this was coming down the pike. And shout out to some of the Texas legislatures. They did put up a good fight. Some of them. But at the end of the day, we are where we are. So let's get into it. I'll just put the link in the chat. This is coming from CBS News, and it is dated May the 5th. Texas Governor Greg Abbott signs controversial $1 billion, that's with a B, voucher for school choice bill into law. So let's read through the article, you guys. Governor Greg Abbott has signed the $1 billion controversial school choice bill into law, allowing for taxpayer money to be used to help qualifying students pay for private school tuition. Today is the, oh gosh, I'm sorry, y'all. There's a pop-up. Give me a second. What the heck is this? What in the heck? I'm sorry. Hold on, y'all. It's a pop-up, but it's like a, I got to be careful about how I close. Security message. Hold on, y'all.
You want me to go? I have it up if you need me to.
It's one of these fake, you know, your computer was compromised thing. Hold on. Let me try this again.
I'm saying you want me to read the article while you're trying to.
Oh yeah, go ahead. Just read the article, yeah.
Governor Greg Abbott has signed the $1 billion controversial school choice bill into law, allowing for taxpayer money to be used to help qualifying students pay for private school tuition. Quote, today is the culmination of a movement that has swept across the state and our country, end of quote. Abbott said Saturday. President Trump threw his support behind the vote last month, posting on Truth Social, quote, congratulations to my friends, Governor Greg Abbott, Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, and Speaker Dustin Burrows, along with Texas legislators, for finally passing school choice, which I strongly endorsed. This is a gigantic victory for students and parents in the great state of Texas. We will very soon be sending education back to all the states where it belongs, end of quote. In January, President Trump issued an executive order that frees up federal funding for school choice programs. The governor also said Saturday that it wouldn't have been possible without the, quote, fearless commitment of the members of the House and Senate who put families first, end of quote. At the governor's mansion for the signing of the bill, Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, Speaker Dustin Burrows, and State Senator Brandon Creighton and State Representative Brad Bickley, who helped get the bill passed in the Texas House and Senate, spoke to the crowd. A source familiar said 1,400 people were expected. Quote, today, Texas parents and schools children secured a major victory. This universal school choice bill is a historic step in ensuring that students will have the victory that seek the educational option that is right for them, not be trapped in schools that fail to meet their academic needs, end of quote. And that's what Attorney General Ken Paxton said in a statement. Texas lawmakers passed the legislation on April 24th with a vote of 19 to 12. It was approved roughly a week ago by the Texas House in a historic vote. It was the first time the Texas House gave the green light to a bill on private school vouchers. The Senate approved similar legislation multiple times, including earlier this year, by a similar margin of 9 to 12. As part of the $1 billion bill, most students who attend an accredited private school will receive $10,000 per year. Students with disabilities will receive up to $30,000 per year. And homeschooled students will get $2,000 a year. Democrats said they believe at the end of the day, most of the students who take part in the program will be wealthier students who attend private schools now. Quote, we are looking at siphoning $1 billion out of our already underfunded system to help a tiny percentage of Texas school children who are mostly already in private school, end of quote. And that's according to State Senator Sarah Eckhart, Democrat out of Austin. State Representative Jolanda Jo Jones said in a statement that the bill is not about choice. Quote, with Governor Greg Abbott's signing of Senate Bill 2, the voucher bill, Texas has officially sold out its students. This is not school reform. It's welfare for the wealthy. A private school payday at the expense of public school children. A backroom betrayal dressed up in buzzwords, end of quote. And that's according to State Representative Jolanda Jo Jones. Governor Greg Abbott has said repeatedly he was confident the bill would pass this legislative session. And there you have it, really, being. It's on you, ma'am.
So something that was in that article that I need some clarity on.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so funny because I was actually having this conversation with my students earlier this week, because we're moving into the civil rights movement. We're just finishing up the Cold War. We're moving into, so we were talking about Brown versus Board, right? And we were having this conversation, and I'm saying this because even a ninth grader can understand this. And I talked about how the governor of Virginia closed schools rather than integrate for 2 years. And how during that 2-year period, the white students of the state of Virginia never missed a beat. Why? Because private schools sprung up, people did, churches and private schools opened up the doors for these white students. And so the black students were the ones that were hurt for those 2 years in the state of Virginia. Now, with that being said, the conversation was, well, then the states really do control what happens in school. And I said, ding, 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 ding. So even a ninth grader understands that schools are run by the state already. So when you say we're going to give education back to the schools, it's really not about giving the states back to the schools, because the states already have the schools. We really know what it's about. It's about the states having to teach all students, because that's really what the Department of Education does. At the crux of it, it is to make sure that all students have a right to free and appropriate education. So that was just, honestly, the rest of it was just want, because we already know what it is. We've been talking about this for 2 years. We've been telling you guys, we warned you what was coming. And one thing that El Teddy always says is that Texas and Florida are the what's the word? How do you word it? But basically it's where it starts. It's where it starts. So now that we've seen it go through Texas and be successful, be prepared to see the trend, which it already has started. Let's be clear. It's already started, but just be prepared to understand that this is what's coming down the pike, especially in these red states, especially in these red states. Yeah.
My thought is, today it's school choice. 25 years ago, you know what it was? End of the 20th century, start of the 21st century. It was standardized testing. And what I mean by that is this: schools are just a mechanism for the rich to get richer. That is what education has become. It is not about educating your children. Let's be clear. There's an all-out assault on real education and pedagogy, which is why the United States always ranks at the bottom in terms of education within developed countries. Okay. Now, why do I say that it's school choice today, but 25 years ago, it was standardized testing? You have to follow the money. When we started, they started preparing for Nickelby in the late 90s, where there was so much onus starting to being put on standardized testing. Why? Because the governors of these conservative states were in the pockets with and best friends with the C-suites and the CEOs of companies that owned the standardized testing. Pearson and all of these other companies, they were in the pockets of these companies. They were vested into these companies. They had, these shell companies and organizations and LLCs that were benefiting financially from standardized testing. So what they would do is they would put all of this everything was about passing the test. You remember this, really, B? I know you remember vividly. Meanwhile, the whole country had about 2 or 3 companies that all standardized tests ran through. There were like 2 or 3 of them. Every single state, every school district relegated to 3 companies. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, we know that these standardized tests were written at a disadvantage to our students and children. To the students that look like this, they were purposefully written at a disadvantage for those students. It all makes sense. This was to help them and their people get wealthy, and to help their children have the better test scores and have the better advantages. Now, this has evolved into, well, we ain't putting our kids over there in the public schools with those people anymore. They're going to be in private school, but we need a way to have those people pay for our private schools, because it's not good enough that we're rich and wealthy and we could pay for all of this on our own. We want the poor people to pay for our private schools. So now you have school choice, you have charters, you have all of these mechanisms in order to help pay for their children's schools, thus putting more money where? In their pocket. And I'm done.
Yep. Ditto all of that. Because you can add textbooks to that list as well. Because a lot of the same companies making the tests were making the textbooks. So
that's a great segue. That's a great segue into Oklahoma.
Oklahoma.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Let's get into Oklahoma, you guys. Let's get
you segued beautifully.
All right. And you guys, boy, oh boy, oh boy. Wait till y'all hear this one. Ooh, wait till y'all hear this one. Oh boy, boy, boy. Somebody in the chat said that their teacher was a part of that cohort in Virginia. Yep. See what I'm saying? People act like this stuff happened a million years ago. It did not. Diamond Pearl says it goes back longer than the 90s. There was an episode about standardized testing on Good Time. Oh yeah, well, I remember that as well, when they were talking about the types of questions put students
right. I was specifically talking about the money
and the yeah. All right, you guys, let's get into this. This article is dated today's date, May the 6th, and it is coming from Reason, Free Minds and Free Markets. Okay. New Oklahoma curriculum requires students to learn 2020 election fraud conspiracy. The new standards are the most unapologetically conservative pro-America social studies standards in the nation, according to State Superintendent Ryan Walters. In the new school year, thousands of Oklahoma students will be required to learn about the 2020 election fraud conspiracy theories as part of a new curriculum developed by the state's controversial superintendent Ryan Walters. Walters, who has come under fire in recent months for an effort to require Oklahoma classrooms to stock Bibles and display the 10 Commandments, has said that the addition empowers students to investigate and understand the electoral process. I guess government class isn't good enough. Moving right along. Under the state's new curriculum, high school students will be taught to identify discrepancies in 2020 election results by looking at graphs and other information, including the sudden halting of ballot counting in select cities and key battleground states, the security risk of mail-in balloting, sudden batch dumps, an unforeseen record number of voters, and the unprecedented contradiction of bellwether county trends. While it's not necessarily unreasonable to want students to learn about the dispute over the 2020 election, the standards framing the controversy, which he turned up no evidence of election interference, the Walters comments about it make it clear that teachers are meant to shed doubt on the veracity of the election. The purpose of the standard is simple. We want students to think for themselves and not to be spoon-fed left-wing propaganda, Walters said in a statement to the Washington Post in March. Students deserve to examine every aspect of our elections, including the legitimate concerns raised by millions of Americans in 2020. The standards also contain passages directing teachers to ensure that students can identify the source of COVID-19 pandemic from a Chinese lab and explain the effects of Trump tax cuts, child tax credit, border enforcement efforts. The standards quickly sparked controversy when they were first published in February, especially when Walters admitted that he added the 2020 election fraud section after the release of an earlier version for public comment. After the state Senate defeated an effort from a Republican lawmaker to stop the election denial section of the standards from being implemented, Walters announced on April the 29th that the state would move forward with the most unapologetically conservative pro-American social studies standards in the nation. The curriculum change is just one of a battery of recent attempts to inject partisan politics into public school curricula. Blue states have faced criticism from the right for injecting critical race theory into the classroom. Many red states have engaged in far more galling efforts to politicize classroom instruction. Louisiana attempted to mandate that classroom display posters of the Ten Commandments before being stopped by federal court. Oklahoma, under Waters' tutelage, has gone so far as to require classrooms to stock Bibles and teach from them. That is the article. What say you, sir?
Listen, I don't know what y'all expect from me. We have been preaching and screaming from the rooftops that this is happening. And I've been saying for some time now that Black people are going to have to learn the stories of our Native American and indigenous brothers and sisters who had their whole history rewritten, who have had their whole stories retold to side with the people descended from the Caucasus Mountains. Please be clear, and I mentioned this on my live Really Be yesterday, that I have friends that are going through textbook adoption right now, Really Be. And in the textbooks that they've already said will get approved because they have the numbers to vote it up, it says that Africans came to this country voluntarily to help build this nation. This is what's happening. This is what's happening. This is not in the sweet by and by. This is not some conspiracy theory. This is really going on right now. And while people get, distracted with the glitz and glamour of all of the blathering and bloviating about that these people do, these are comfortable distractions to keep your eyes off the fact that they are doing insidious things. Really be. They are willfully, deliberately, and intentionally spreading false narratives, spreading deliberate and intentional lies. Here's what's so idiotic about it. If you tell students that they have to accept that there were issues in the 2020 election, you do realize that the ballots have both Republicans and Democrats on there. And on those same 2020 ballots in the same great state of Oklahoma, many Republicans won those elections. So therefore, if you are telling me to call into question the validity and accuracy of said election results in 2020, does it not call into question all of those Republican people who won their so-called elections in the year of our Lord 2020. Mind you, meanwhile, all of the scientific and empirical evidence and data, as well as court decisions and adjudications, have found zero evidence of any type of whatnot or any invalidations or any questionable things that happened in the 2020 election. However, it does not matter. The truth does not matter. What matters is that they are put in a light that they want to be put in. What matters is that their story is told the way they want it to be told. The truth does not matter. What matters is what they say matters. So please get ready and be prepared for the complete retelling of what happened to us as a people when we came over here. They have already started to ship back artifacts from the Smithsonian African American Museum of History and Culture back to the individuals that owned them. They've already started to ship artifacts back. This is happening in real time. And what are we going to do about it? How do we thwart this happening? What are we going to do? Because there's a lot of Black people that live in Oklahoma. A lot of them. I'll be quiet because I can keep going, but really, this is your wheelhouse. This is history. This is your wheelhouse, ma'am. This is social studies. I'll let you go. I'll be quiet.
Excuse me. So that was what I was going to say. What's scary about that article is that this is not a proposal. This isn't some crazy person waving a piece of paper on a street corner saying this is what we should do. This is the law now. This is going into next year, what teachers are going to be expected to teach. Now, coming from, I don't want to, never mind. I don't want to say that. It's very scary that they are just totally, it's not even so much what happened. It's just what we wished had happened, what we wanted to happen, you know. It's scary. It's scary. As I was reading that article, like I said, as a social studies teacher, it's scary because first of all, I would just have to quit or be fired because I'm not doing it. That's just number one. I'm not doing it. I mean, but that wouldn't be the first time that I didn't teach what they wanted me to teach. So whatever. That's me. But yeah, Diamond Pearl says, parents are really going to have to step up their game and teachers can't do it by themselves. Yeah, that's not going to happen. And I'm not talking about every single parent. So please do not leave me a comment saying I do. I get it. But as someone who's in the schools right now, I'm telling you, that's not going to happen.
What's even more scary, really be? I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just rambling, I guess, because it's just a scary thought. It's a very, very scary thought.
The scarier thought for me really be is we are educators. We research. We check our sources and check our facts. And even if I say to myself, okay, let's put this in the hands of the parents, right? That's even more scary to me because a lot of our parents, their gospel now is TikTok. Their truth, their primary source is Instagram. That's truth and Bible, and that, you know, equates to a primary source. And really be, you know, as well as I do, TikTok and Instagram and Twitter and all of that stuff and social media is riddled and mired in false narratives, indoctrination, mistruths, conspiracy theories, and all of that. So even with this notion of not allowing the experts, the professional educators, to do the real educating. And then you saying, okay, we're just going to put it back in the hands of the parents. That's just like saying, if your child gets sick, just let the parents decide how to treat that child instead of taking them to a doctor or a trained professional who knows what they're doing. Because if you leave it to the parent, they may make that child even sicker or cause even more harm. And it's the same way with the child's education. We're living in dangerous times, really, really dangerous time. And thank you. I think that was the Informed that sent us a Cash App. I want to say thank you to him for sending us a Cash App. Thank you, baby.
Thank you for the tip. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Yeah, as somebody that's still in a school, it's scary. And even though I live in a I live and work in a blue state, it doesn't make me feel any more secure. Because I live in a blue state, because it's just scary. It's a scary thought that this is what and like I said, you guys, this is not a ring the alarm. This is a we are here already. Like, this is what is going to be the expected curriculum for next school year in the state of Oklahoma. And that's just scary. That's scary. Wow. Let's move on.
And it's going to get worse. And because really, B, if they're successful in Oklahoma, you think all of the other states don't want no parts of this? Texas, Florida, Georgia, Alabama, Arkansas, Mississippi, Louisiana, Tennessee. The list goes on. Here we are.
No, I understand what you were saying, Diamond Pearl. What I'm saying is that's just not where we are right now. We can't even get our parents to make their kids do homework. We can't even get our parents to show any interest in we can't even get our parents to come to a back to school night. We can't even get our parents to come to a parent teacher conference. We can't. So I hear what you're saying, Diamond Pearl. And again, I know my experience is a small sample, but I have friends that teach. I have friends that teach in other parts of the country. And honestly, it may not be, you as a parent and your friends, but I'm telling you what the exception more so than the rule is right now. And you're right. Like, yes, teaching it at home, but yeah, that's probably, again, I'm not saying that's not going to happen at all. I'm saying that's. Oh gosh. All right, you guys. Well, let's get into this next article. This one deals with what's going on at the Department of Education. Last time we talked to you guys, we told you about how they're gutting the Office of Civil Rights over at the Department of Education. So let's see what else they're doing over there. And this is coming from NPR. This is dated May the 1st. Education Department stops $1 billion with a B in funding for school mental health. The Trump administration says that it will stop paying out $1 billion in federal grants that school districts across the country have been using to hire mental health professionals, including counselors and social workers. The U.S. Department of Education is telling impacted districts that the Biden administration and rewarding the grants violated the letter or purpose of federal civil rights law. The grants were part of the 2022 Bipartisan Safer Communities Act, a bill passed in the aftermath of the school shooting and what is it? Uvalde, Texas. I always say that wrong. In which a teen gun, we know what happened. Okay. The bill, among other things, poured federal dollars into schools to address rising concerns about a student mental health crisis. These dollars helped Superintendent Derek F. in Corbett, Oregon, more than triple the number of school mental health professionals in his largely rural district of 1,100 students east of Portland. Before the grants, he says the district had just 2 counselors, and we realized that it's just not sustainable for our students, especially coming out of COVID. In early 2023, thanks to the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act, the district received a federal grant that fully covered the salaries and benefits of 5 new trained social workers. It's been amazing, he said. the difference that federal money and the social workers they pay for have made in this school community. He says he was shocked when he heard the Trump administration was putting an end to the federal support. Just Tuesday, a U.S. Department of Education employee who oversees their grant had given his district the go-ahead to add a telehealth texting service for students. An hour later, he got an email that the grant would be discontinued. The bipartisan Safer Communities Act and mental health funding that accompanied it enjoyed considerable Republican support even in the years after it was passed. Too often, adolescents with unrelated mental health conditions become the very same perpetrators who commit acts of violence, wrote three of the law's Republican supporters: Senator John Cornyn of Texas, Susan Collins of Maine, and Tom Tillis of North Carolina. For this reason, we crafted our law to ensure teachers and administrators are equipped with the tools to recognize when a student is experiencing a mental health crisis and, more importantly, connect them with the care they need before it's too late. The end game was to prepare and place 14,000 mental health professionals in schools, says Mary Wall, who oversaw K-12 policy and budget for the U.S. Department of Education during the Biden administration. Wall says about 260 school districts in nearly every state received a portion of that $1 billion in the form of 5-year grants, which were paid out in installments. Now it appears those districts will have to find a way to do without the money they have planned for but not received. The preparation of new mental health professionals, as well as those who are already in service, is at risk. In Corbett, the superintendent says he's been told his grant money, which was supposed to last until December of 2027, will now stop this December, 2 years early. Once it does, we're going to end up going back to having 2 counselors in our district. The superintendent says he feels disgusted by the idea of having to lay off those federally funded social workers. To be able to provide those mental health services and then have it ripped away for something that is completely out of our control is horrible. I feel for our students more than anything else because they're not going to get the services they need. While the department says it's cutting the grants, in a statement to NPR, Maddie Biderman, Deputy Assistant Secretary for Communication at the Department of Education, explained the decision to discontinue the grants. They said recipients use the funding to implement race-based actions like recruiting quotas in ways to have nothing to do with mental health and could hurt the very students the grants were supposed to help. We owe it to the American families to ensure that taxpayer dollars are supporting evidence-based practices that are truly focused on improving students' mental health. But the 2022 federal grant told schools explicitly the services to be provided must be evidence-based. Walls also disputes the department's characterization, telling NPR the focus of these grants was absolutely on providing evidence-based mental health support to students. Any suggestion that this is a DEI program is a distraction from the real issue. And then it just goes on to talk about the Trump administration and their own personal interpretation of civil rights law. Let me see, because this is want to make sure. Okay, hold on. Let me read this last part. In the email that the superintendent out in Oregon received, notifying him the grants end, the department wrote that the efforts funded by the grant violate federal civil rights law, conflict with the department's policy of prioritizing merit, a fairness and excellence in education, undermine the well-being of the students these programs were intended to help, or constitute an inappropriate use of federal funds. When asked if diversity played any role in his district's grant application, he replied, yes. In our application, we did state, because it was part of the requirements, that we would use equitable hiring practices. And that's exactly what we did. And to me, equitable hiring practices mean you hire the best person for the job. That's equitable. And now those social workers he hired might lose their jobs. That's the end of the article. I want to say this, and this is something you said, El Teddy, and I'm gonna let you have the floor. But this is something you said, El Teddy, that they're just using a search engine. They're putting words into a search engine, and whatever pops up, they're eliminating it. So they probably put the word equitable in this search engine, and this grant popped up, and now they're like, oh, it's diversity, equity, and inclusion. I don't mean any harm, and this might be a very ignorant statement that I'm getting ready to make. But Oregon, I would love to see the population breakdown in the state of Oregon by race. Go ahead, Elton.
I got two angles to come at this. I'm gonna come at the angle that both of these angles we've discussed on this platform. One angle is really B and I been on this platform telling you, screaming from the rooftop, that there is a disparity with regard to mental health workers in school districts, social workers in school districts, really those credentialed psychologists or psychiatrists or mental health workers. There's a grave disparity in that. And we talked about the fact that the DOE or state DOEs needed to step in. And once we did finally get some movement on this and them putting money into doing that, now we're here. But I should also remind you, I want to go back to, I believe it was 2021, somewhere around there. We were doing Teacher Project 2.0 back then as well. But I want to talk about how in the great state of Texas, remember really when there was the all-on attack on all things LGBTQ plus youth in the great state of Texas. And the first thing they did was they took away all of the mental health resources to help students that may be included in the LGBTQ plus community. They took away all of their resources, all of their mental health resources, anything that was there to help them understand what may be going on. That was our first sign that they didn't give a damn about the mental health of these students. But I'll go even further. They know full well that, let's be clear, the students that benefit from having mental health programs at the schools are some of the students that come from the most vulnerable segments of our society. Because if you come from a household that cannot afford to have you go see a therapist or a psychologist on a regular basis, then the only place that you may be able to get that service is the 5 minutes that you get in front of your school counselor. And they're cutting that out because they want no part in helping those people who are underserved. They want no parts of helping people that are the most vulnerable. They want no parts of helping even people who suffer from mental illnesses or any mental health issues, much less what they deem to be a cognitively normal student. They don't even want to help the students with disabilities, much less any other student that may be having all types of ideations, suicidal ideations, or any type of depression or any type of cognitive impairment. They don't want any parts of this, any single parts of this. And yes, when you have programs developed around mental health, it's going to mention race, because let's be clear, being of a certain race can affect and impair your mental health. And that's what the data shows. Because remember, this is supposed to be data-based and data-driven. And the data shows that living every day as a Black person or a brown person or some other minority, impairs your mental health. It just does. It's scientifically proven. But they don't want any part of helping you get better. They don't. They don't. This money is going to be used to help fund. They're going to take this money and help put it somewhere, probably to help beef up the defense fund that the defense budget that they're trying to get to $1 trillion, or some other program that in the back door is going to give them more money in their pockets. I have a lot to say, really, but I'm gonna just shut up because we'll be here all day on this. This is disgusting, just truly disgusting.
Yeah, I mean, once again, it comes. Again, I said already that that they're using this algorithm to just pull keywords. But on the flip side of it, but not on the flip side, but looking at what they're actually doing, again, we have these incidents that happen at schools. You don't want to pass any gun reform. You don't want to pass any legislation that limits these weapons that get into the hands of these kids. So you say, oh, well, we're going to throw you guys some mental health stuff. We're going to throw some, and now you're taking that away. So once again, as somebody who was working in the school, who was on the front line, who works in a district where they literally just found 2 big old weapons at a school, not my school, but a school not too far from where I live, last week, now we are right back where we started. So yeah, again, y'all don't really give a damn about these kids and what's going on in this country. And anybody that tries to pretend like they do, I hate to be the ones to tell you, they don't give a damn. They don't give a damn. But anyway, let's get into this last article, child, because here we go. The other HU, we've been talking about Harvard, but let's talk about Howard a little bit. Let's get into the Howard of it all. Trump's budget targets Howard University, creating questions about HBCU support. The latest budget proposal from Donald Trump looks to continue his agenda of slashing and burning the education department by cutting its funding by $12 billion with a B. In addition to this, contain provisions that cut programs targeted to low-income students who are preparing for college and funding for the nation's only.
You breaking up really deep. I don't know if it's me, but you're breaking up.
HBCU, which is Howard University, for the university, and the elimination of $1.6 billion in K through 12. It might be me because my internet has been acting funky. Can y'all hear me now?
Oh, I can hear you now. Yeah, it was kind of like roiding out.
Can you hear me now?
For a little bit. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. I don't know why it's saying my signal is weak. I don't know why, but okay, let me go back. According to the New York Times, the $64 million in funding that Trump wants to eliminate for the university and the elimination of $1.6 billion in K through 12 programs known as TRIO and Gear Up continue Trump's expressed mandate to close the Department of Education. As The Hill reported, the cut in funding to Howard University is related to a payment the federal government made to build the Howard University Hospital, which the Trump administration said in its budget proposal is no longer needed because the hospital has been completed. That's a lie, but moving on.
I'm glad you can add that commentary too. I'm glad you're here to add that point.
Yeah, Howard University acknowledged the government's funding recommendations in a statement. But as Black Enterprise previously reported, Trump also issued an executive order on April the 23rd that purportedly promotes excellence and innovation at the nation's HBCUs, but made no commitment to funding those universities. Trump also formally ended President Joe Biden's White House initiative on historically Black colleges and universities via the same executive order. Child, anyway. This gave academics like Dr. Mary Beth Gassman, the Samuel DeWitt Proctor Endowed Chair in Education, and a distinguished professor at Rutgers University pause as she indicated diverse education. This is her statement. On the surface, the order is a positive step and follows the support of past presidents since its inception under President Jimmy Carter. Trump's executive order acknowledges HBCU's essential role in shaping Black leadership, intellect, and economic mobility. She is, wait a minute, hold on. However, what is missing is any commitment to new federal funding. We have to see what President Trump does next. Of note, the Biden administration announced an investment of nearly $1.6 billion in funding within 1 week of issuing its executive order. Trump appears to be coasting on his 2019 bipartisan bill that reauthorized a $220 million in mandatory funding to minority-serving institutions and provided $85 million a year to HBCUs and perpetually based on his commitments to several news outlets. However, his predecessor, Joe Biden, what the hell? You hear that music?
No.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with my computer. I'm going to have to reboot it when I get off of here. All right, sorry, it must have been just me. However, his predecessor, Joe Biden, gave more than $17 billion in funding to HBCUs during his tenure as president, and Biden's $1.1 billion investment in need-based grants in September 2024 stood to directly benefit the Black students that overwhelmingly make up the bulk of HBCU university student bodies. According to the then executive order, the White House Initiative on HBCUs, Deidre Trent, Biden's funding investment simply builds on the unprecedented track record of delivering for HBCUs that his administration has had. A large proportion of those funds will go in direct support of our students through need-based grants and need-based aid. So in terms of how that will impact our students, it will help them pay for college. It will take the burdens off of families. It will help them stay in college. So it's going to have a huge impact, Trent told the 19th News. That's the article.
I don't know. I'm glad you added that commentary about the hospital not being done. I'm glad you said that, because somebody not living in the DC area may not know that the hospital is not finished or not done. And so that's something that you and others in that area can add to that we need to know, so that we know that they're giving bad information here. They're acting under bad faith, trying to make it seem like, oh, we're done with what we needed to do, when truly they're not. And this is more so about them not wanting anything to do with helping HBCUs. All of that executive order, but you did not give a dime, a penny, nickel, dime, quarter, dollar toward any HBCU. Matter of fact, you probably wasted more money putting that executive order out. So this is more of the same. They don't mean anyone well, especially not Black people. They're not here for any college whatsoever at this point, but certainly not HBCUs. I don't have much to add to that. That's about all I got, because I know these people ain't worth nothing.
Yeah, I mean, anybody that thought that executive order meant anything, I'm sorry, I don't know what you've been living for the last 3 months. This man has done everything in his power to disenfranchise people of color and dismantle anything that he thought could possibly help people of color. What the hell made y'all think he was going to do anything for HBCUs? I have no idea. I don't know why anybody thought there was anything behind that. I don't know. But I don't have a lot to add to it either. I'm just disgusted. I think I'm still stuck in that article about teaching about the election, child. I think I'm still there. I don't think I moved past that one yet.
It's bad. I can't do that but laugh, because it's so horrible. It's so horrible. It's so horrible.
It is. So, anyway, moving right along. Baby, that's our show today. That's all I got. I don't have nothing else for y'all. Thank you for the tip, the informed one. I really do appreciate you showing us some love during showing us love at all. And certainly during Teacher Appreciation Week. I appreciate the love. El Teddy will be going live in less than 10 minutes over on his channel. Like I said, there's plenty for y'all tonight. We got the Met review on Kiss My Cheeks later on. He has the political show, Red, Black, and Red, Blue, Black. Red, Blue, and Black. Child, I messed it up. And I'll be doing a legal roundup with Girl Is That Legal. So y'all got plenty of stuff to watch tonight, child. And I will talk to y'all later. Any final words, Doc?
Pray my strength in the Lord.
Well, that will be all of us. All right. Talk to y'all later. Peace. Give me the